Styan has the question here. He says, what objective should he be using on the campaign level to get members of his Facebook group? And then he's asking reach or post engagement. Now, here's a situation where, in the question itself, there's not enough information to actually answer that. But I know from some of the previous posts that you've made that you're actually driving traffic to a landing page that has where you're selling people on the group, and then you have a button that they click to go to the group to then register. So in this case, I would actually be using the conversions objective, and I would be placing a custom event or a standard event, on the button click so that you can then optimize to people clicking that button so that Facebook will find more people that at least click over onto your group page from the landing page and ideally will then join the group. That's how that works. So that would be what we'd want to do for the objective in that case. You're going to get much better results if you do that than you will if you use like a reach or post engagement. Right now, I would only use these objectives if we knew that your messaging and everything was dialed in, which that's questionable based on some of your other posts that you've made. So we want to have the algorithm help us as much as possible, which is why we're going to be using the conversions objective. All right, now Luke says, is there a way to target people on Facebook with the Instagram app installed? Yeah, it's just by targeting the Instagram placement, because the ads only get served up on mobile, and the only way they're going to see it is if they have the app installed. So I don't know any other way to answer that. All right. Let's see if there's anything else on this. We just had some extra comments from Jason. All right, so Ian says, what's the opinion on testing ad creatives under one ad set? Are 3 ads in one ad set a good way to determine which ad performs better for that audience, or is FB skewing the results for their own profit, blah, 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 blah. So I don't think FB ever skews results for their own profit, because you pay whether people click or not. Like, it doesn't, I mean, they, to a certain degree, they care if people buy from you, but ultimately it really doesn't matter to them, really. So, like, they're not making more money whether you make more money or not. So anyway, as far as testing creatives goes, I do not like putting multiple ads into one ad set as a way to try to test creative, because you aren't really getting a true split test in that case. What will oftentimes happen is Facebook will favor 1 or 2 of the ads. You don't usually get a very even distribution of the spend. Now, sometimes that will work in your favor because they will unevenly distribute the money appropriately inside of the campaign, and you'll get better results from that, or inside of the ad set, but it's not really a test, because if you ran all of those things in their own individual ad sets separately, you're going to get completely different results than you will when you do it in combination. So it really depends on what you're trying to figure out as to how you design the test. All right. So when you just say putting 3, testing ad creatives under one ad set, like, we got to figure out what are we trying to test for right now, and what phase in your process are you in, because that's going to determine your test design that you use. Right now, if we're starting off from complete scratch, like what I assume is the case when I'm teaching Bootcamp 2.0, I like to test in series. So we're using iterations, not split testing. Okay, so what we do is we put one iteration out, we measure the data from that, and then based on the results that we get from that data, then we make our next iteration if we did not get the results that we were looking for. If we get the results that we were looking for, then we scale. And there isn't really any need to test at that point. Now, what we can do, though, is we can always test to try to improve results. And that's a different scenario, and it's going to be a different way that we're going to design the test because of what's already going on in the account. Okay, so this is where we have to know more about what is the goal that you're trying to accomplish with the testing. What element are you testing? what phase in the process are you at right now? Like where are you at in your campaign? Is it beginning? Is it a mature campaign? What are you trying to accomplish? Like all of that stuff will make a big difference on what you do with your test design. All right, let me pull this. Okay, so Mertuza's got a question here about some stats from a campaign. Now, one thing that's going to be hard for me to understand is, the conversion rate. I think rupees are 45 to 1 on a US dollar. So, I mean, if you spent 1283 and that is 45 to 1, then it would have only been about like $28 spent on ads. And it said, you also mentioned down here that the site was down for at least a few hours yesterday. So possibly about half of the money was sent to a page that wasn't working right. So really, I mean, because of that, you really have to throw out the data from yesterday, and you can't really make any real big determination on how well it did if the stuff wasn't working, for part of the day. Now, the other thing that we don't know is what the actual goal is for the cost per lead. Like how many rupees are you trying to spend per lead? Because maybe that was set unrealistically, first of all, but we don't even know how well this thing is doing if we don't know what the goal was. All right, now what I'm doing is looking at the landing page here now and just kind of seeing the page here. So I'm not really understanding, we're not seeing the ad, so I don't know what people are seeing on the ad, but which would make, determine what they should expect to see when they get here, right? There could be a big, huge incongruence between your ad and the landing page. I can tell you that the landing page is really, really, really ugly. I mean, you got some blurred out image in the background here. Then we've got reverse font stuff with dark things here, white text here, like white over black that's really hard to read. The offer's not really clear. Like what are they actually opting in for? Why do they have to opt in to get pricing? And why are there these free gifts? Like none of this is really making any sense to me. Now, it might make a little bit more sense if we saw the ad, but this stuff is still really confusing, and the page design and everything is very unattractive and not set up well for conversion. And that's just from a desktop perspective. It could be completely different on mobile. It might even be worse. So like most of your traffic's more likely coming from mobile. So I'm just seeing a clear issue with your messaging and your funnel. Okay, so then Styan's got some follow-up questions here about his $200 ad spend. So he's got new copy of the ad here and wanted some insight on maybe targeting options and even the type of ad, just to make sure that, he's using the budget wisely. All right, so let's kind of take a look into this. So he's going to be launching a 2K coaching program in August that, he's going to be dealing with helping these divorced entrepreneurs that he's bringing into the group. Let me just read through this here. Okay, so I don't like how you're making this promise right here because, like that's your personal situation is you lost that, extra money, and that's not what's going to happen for everybody else. So it's a little bit weird. I also, from a compliance perspective and just, knowing like the sensitivity of this topic, I don't like asking these questions out of the gate and even taking the path of really trying to get them into pain right away because they're already in that pain. I think you're better off if you started your ad out with this story right here, okay, of your wife when she left you, right? And you really should like expand on that a lot more, right? So, I mean, I might lead it off with, here I was in my room packing my bags, getting ready for vacation, when all of a sudden I hear the tires of my wife's Mini Cooper screeching out the door, because you're just saying her, right? Like, my wife's Mini Cooper screeching off the garage, and that was the last time I had saw her as my wife. No explanation, nothing, right? So, like expanding on some more of these ideas and, building this up, all right? I think the story is a bit too long as well. I think I might just punch it up quite a bit because you got some really big paragraphs here. So, and I think some of the points that you're making in here are just a little bit not quite developed enough. Like, I get lost in your story because I know you're trying to follow the story framework. So I'm sure it's a little bit, unnatural because you're trying to fit these things into that specific model. So I see a bit of that in here. I'm also not, I would like to have more of a clearer hook, here than just rebuilding after divorce. We need to have something that is more concrete than that, at least in my mind, because I went through a divorce process last year, and I wasn't thinking about rebuilding, that wasn't a problem that I was really concerned with. It wasn't language that I was using. Now, I could be different than everybody else, I don't know, but it's just so general. We got to be dealing with, more specifics if we want to attract in the right person. Now, another thing that I think is a little bit different here, and you don't have the link to the landing page, but if I remember correctly, you got a bunch of long copy on the landing page as well. Okay, so if you're going to do long copy in the ad, I would only do a headline along with a button for them and maybe some social proof or whatever on the landing page so that they just go straight to the group. If you're going to have the big long story on the landing page, then the ad copy should be really short and meant to just get them over to, read the page. But I would be more inclined to have the ad copy be long. I just think you need to, clarify some of these things, have a better lead, smooth out quite a bit of this stuff, and then simplify your landing page a lot more so that it's just basically headline, call to action, button to the page or to the group, and then if you got any social proof, you could put some of that underneath. But that would be my recommendations for you. All right, so Ahmed, I'm a little uncertain what you're saying here because the dynamic ads do build social proof actually, and when you go to duplicate them, you have the option actually on that box that pops up to transfer the social proof to a new ad. So when you duplicate, so you just, if you're looking in your listing over here on your page and you're not seeing any comments on one, then that's just because people haven't commented or anything on it yet. You can check that, if you go to your fan page over here in the comments and more section, this is where all the comments from every ad that you post, any post that's on your page will show up, including ads. So, I've got a bunch of these that are in dynamic ads. I'm just trying to see if I can see where one specifically is. Yeah, this one right here. So this is a dynamic ad, and if it actually will allow me to show it on the screen, we'll be able to see. I believe this one has comments. So the comments do show up on here, and if I go to duplicate this in the ads manager, it would actually, it would give me, the ability to transfer these comments to another ad. All right, so there we go. Come back here. Okay, let's see if we got anything else outstanding. Oh, there we go. That takes care of all the outstanding questions in the group for today. To the victor belong the spoils. This is Jason.